Welcome, Thomas, to Metalladium Pages. It's a great pleasure to talk with you about Mork, this new album, Deep It, and more things related to the metal world. So we are starting, I think, when a question for Latin America. How was your last tour here in Latin America, Colombia? A lot of countries here. You played there, it was amazing. So perhaps you have more experience to tell about this. For I think this is your first stop here in Latin America over the more than 20 years of existence from Mork.
Honestly, our tour of Latin America this last September was our first time there ever. Yeah. And it was simply amazing. I know now why Norwegian bands come over there and play, because it's something really special. And Bogota in particular was really great. We got to play the Ace of Spades club over there, which was a great venue, and you had a great crowd. And our host, Mr. Nelson, he was really kind. He actually took us out. We had a day off in Bogota. So the day before the show, I think it was, we went out for some sightseeing. And we went up to, the temple on the hill, and looking over the city. We went out to eat some great steak and stuff, Colombian steak. Had some local beer, went into the old city. It was simply amazing, and we would love to come back. I actually think we will be back in South America this year, actually, but not in Colombia, I'm sorry to say.
Okay, well, it's normal. Oh, amazing. Yeah, Nelson's my friend, so he told me about your experience there, so it's incredible. Incredible show there. So now, talking about this new album, I saw that this album was released, I think this new album was composed and written during the pandemic. So perhaps perhaps now, with the chaos of the war, with the chaos of the coronavirus, this aspect, this album has more influence. Hello?
I lost you.
The internet connection. Okay, I will repeat the question.
Please.
So perhaps this new album was composed and written during the pandemic, because a lot of influence born during this pandemic, because the coronavirus, now the war, and that's why this new album is more savage in many ways.
I don't think the pandemic changed anything, to be honest. This album, basically, like the last album, the album before that, is just time capsules of my life. Experience of being alive, basically. So Deep It, which is coming out now, the sixth one, is basically my life the past 2 years, but nothing related to COVID, actually, or the pandemic, luckily, because that's boring. But I don't know, a little difference about this new album writing it is that I actually I went on some trips in Norway, into the mountains, into the forests, and into the fjords and stuff. And then sometimes I brought recording balls and song structures, and then I could have some, inspirational flow from the nature and what I saw. And so that was a first for this album, actually.
Okay. Well, as you came for the first time here in Latin America, all people here speak Spanish normally. So how do you deal with the aspect alive when the people doesn't understand very well that you say the Norwegian language, because it's very difficult to sing live, like it's not like the song like the Beatles, no? Hey, Beatle, but your sing is in Norwegian. It's very difficult to sing live. So how do you deal with this aspect with your fans that they try to sing the music from Mork, but they can't?
Yeah, you know what? It's funny you should say this, because when we went to South America, that was actually maybe some of the first times I experienced that the people in the crowd was singing my words. That was a bit strange, I have to be honest, but it was really humbling. It was an honor to see that we actually we reached all the way from Norway to say, where were we? Montevideo, in Uruguay, and that's I'm thankful for that people can get into our music, you know, and black metal is still a big thing for people. It's a people's music, you know, it's about feelings and passion. And I heard and read that Latin America is the place of real passion. So it's self-explanatory there. Regarding the Norwegian language in lyrics in general, to me, it's most authentic for me to write my lyrics in Norwegian.
Yeah.
I feel then I'm rooted in where I'm from. And obviously, I speak better Norwegian than English, you know. But since the early days when I listened to Bursum and Dark Throne and stuff like that, maybe even some Dimmu Borgir stuff, Satyricon, and I noticed Norwegian lyrics, and that made it really exotic for me, and that is something I have brought with me into my black metal too.
Yeah. You told me in the first interview that we did 2 years ago that you have a lot of influence from Dartur and Bursum. They spoke in certain region. So that's interesting. So into this aspect, I always remembered that you say that the last album was, or the previous album was, very different, and now you have more melancholic way. But when I hear this new Deepet, you have more melodic, melancholic way. So how do you how do you decline to this, to do a more melodic and melancholic way to do this new album?
Well, correct. For each Mork album since the first one has been an evolution where I do not repeat myself, because if you listen to the first album and the second album, it's really strict black metal albums. They are primitive, they are even more necro, and they are I don't know, there's just this narrow path that everything fits. And after a while, when I came with my third album, fourth album, fifth album, I opened up more influence wise. I let myself be more open while I was creating, because when I recorded Isebakke or Den vandrende skygge, I was sitting in the studio and making up ideas, and if I got an idea that felt a bit, you know, weird to be in black metal, then I would just lose it, you know. But today I will keep it, and I think that is what you can hear now. The music has become a bit more broader, and it's a bit more honest, to be frank, because it is what comes out of me, you know, when I'm creating. And it's really important to me now that Mork has found its own voice in a way. And I'm still really proud of my early albums, because when I made those albums, I needed to make primitive black metal. That was something I had to do. It was a strong passion I had, but I can't repeat myself, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, you told me in the previous interview that the Mork was all was your personal sound, your personal point of view, etc. And always you fight with a lot of complication that appears since 2004 to now. So, and with more than 20 years, which is the more important experience that you had in more career? Which perhaps some in this during these 20 years you have already decided to, well, to let it down and say, hey, I don't want to be a longer more with more. So what situations and anecdotes do you have in more than 20 years by yourself?
You know what? I would have to mention a couple then. It has to be back in the day, 20 some years ago, when I actually found out that I wanted to do black metal. That was a big time for me. That was important for my, you know, for my psyche and my mental health in general. I actually found this niche that, you know, it belongs within me. So, and that is funny because that is 10 years before I released the first album. So it's a long time doing Mork secret in a way, you know. So and then we come to the time where I first received my first record contract, which was with a Canadian label, who released Isebaki in 2013. That was a big one for me. That's like official. Now Mork will be out there so people can hear it. And then you have the Peaceville connection, which still lives on today. And then it's the time where I decided to put Mork on the stage as a live band. That was a big and great period of my life, which still, hey, look, we just played Wacken, we just played South America, we played Bogota. We are going to play South America again. We are playing festivals this year. It's an amazing journey, you know. It's maybe a bit stupid to sound this positive when we're talking about black metal, but it's the truth. It's been really important to my life, you know.
Mm. And now, what? And in talking about the live presentation, how do you select the people that you will play with you? Perhaps these people that will play with you have the same feelings that you got from all albums, because you compose everything. You compose everything by yourself since the beginning to now. So how do you select these people to play with you? Because sometimes when a few months ago, I spoke with Werewolf, Satanic World Master, and he told me that he talked with people that they try to understand the music that he did by himself. And now perhaps you have more details to select. These people play bass player because he thought, etc., etc.
It's a bit funny actually, because it's really, really random. When I put Mork together as a live band, it was in 2014. The first album was printed in, you know, what was it, 500 CD copies in Canada. So not big. Mork was not big. And I decided to put a live band together and start rehearsing. I just asked my friends that were close to me, that I knew, hey, this guy plays guitar, this guy plays bass, and then I knew a drummer. We just started playing just randomly. So not a lot of pressure on the passion for black metal or anything like that. But the cool thing, these people are still together today. And this is 10 years later.
Okay.
And today they have a much deeper understanding of what we are doing. So we have kind of grown up together, if you know what I mean.
Oh yeah.
And
so,
one thing is that we had a period where our drummer was busy. My drummer is Malignant. He used to play with Ragnarok, and he has his own band called Dauden. And sometimes he was busy with Ragnarok. Then I had to ask somebody else, and then I went and asked people within the scene that I knew. For example, I don't know if you heard about Asgeir Mikkelson, but he played on the early Borknagar albums, I believe, and stuff like that. He played in Testament once, on my favorite tour, actually, the Gathering tour. A professional Norwegian drummer and a great guy. So I had him in the band, and we also had Sjodalv, who was the first guitar player and drummer for Dimmu Borgir. So there's been a couple of people in and out, but the main lineup is the one that's been from day one almost to today. Please continue.
Okay. Nice to hear. So other aspect that I didn't know about the music always, especially in the Mork, because all you did since the beginning to know by yourself. I think you are one of the first bands in 2000s that entered this, do it by yourself. Everything do it by yourself, just one person. But now, as you can see, since 2010, a lot of atmospheric, depressive, I don't know, pop black metal appears in the world with different kind of point of view of the black metal. They're more nature, some people are more hipsters. So I don't know why this kind of appear. So what is your opinion about now, about this new movement into the black metal? That for me, especially, it's not like black metal. It's more like a stupid black metal, because it's very soft, it's very boring sometimes. A lot of pop there, so it's really, really boring sometimes.
Yeah, I think that more and more people, because of the internet, I think it's the social media, it's Facebook and Instagram. More young people are discovering black metal. I think that
Yeah,
it's easy as that, and people want to do it. I'm sure that some of them do it for real and can feel what they are doing, but I can't answer for all. You know, there are probably some posers.
yeah,
And another thing, it may seem easy for people to just do a black metal album and then get become a celebrity. I don't know how people think, but a funny thing I noticed lately is that everybody is wearing hoods or masks now.
yeah. That's
I
true.
don't know, man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So with Overmore, more than with you in the next 2 years, will you have more 40 years old? So how changed did you how do you see the change into the black metal since the beginning into 1995 to now? Because a lot of bands appears. About you told me that you saw the interview with Arthur. Well, Nocturnal Cool is a person far away from this society. It's very well known that, but always the black metal is a people far away from the society now. But now, as you told me, there are more black metal bands, a lot of social media. This is the new movement. So what's your opinion about since the beginning to now the black metal? Is good or is bad that the black metal is like a trend now, I think.
Uh, I was not around in the early days because I'm too young. I was born in 1984, you know, so I started school when the guys was burning churches and stuff. But I got into black metal in 2001 or something. It's about a couple of 20 years ago. 20, what is it? 23 years ago or something.
Yeah.
And I have to be honest, I don't like that it's a trend, you know, because it's I'm not sure. The funny thing is that there are people in the scene that actually point fingers at me and say that I'm a poser. So nobody likes anybody. That's just how the world works, you know. If a band is doing good business or whatever, then somebody else will hate you for it. And I think that is the way all around every music genre and everything. But when there's so many black metal bands, then it's probably a bit hard to get exposure, perhaps. I don't know if you can build a following if there's a million black metal bands. I'm not sure.
Well, yeah, well, that's true. That's true. So, and this into these aspects now to our promoting new bands. Well, Mork has belongs to the big label like PCV Records. Has a strong career since the 2013. Your first album appears at that time. Now, 10 years later, we have a new album. So, what is your recommendation that you give for the new bands that trying to do the things like the always and not like the new ways to do black metal? Because as you can see, a lot of revivals with like the vinyl, a lot of revivals appears in the world. A lot of bands seems to like play like Dartron in the 90s, Dark Mayhem in the 90s, Emperor in the 90s, but a few bands play like Mork, like with the personal sound into there. So what kind of recommendation will you give them these new bands that try to play like old stuff and not the new stuff?
First recommendation or advice would be to don't care about what people think. That's the most important thing, because you will be hated if you try. Trust me. And what you just said, it's important to have your own personality in the music. You know, don't make something you think somebody will like, or make something that you know that the true scene is expecting, because that is actually false. You know, then you're a fake. Just be yourself, and there's always somebody who will be into your music. I am 100% sure of that. Perhaps you won't be as big as Dimmu Borgir, but at least you will have a listener somewhere, you know. But at the end of the day, is a good point, this, because this is a reason why I've been doing Mork for 20 years now. And like I told you, I did it for 10 years in secret.
Yeah.
It's because I need it. It's important for me. I would never do this if it was just to get recognition or be successful, because then I should just drop it and play pop music, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Okay.
So I have been really lucky that I now have Peaceville Records in my back. I have listeners, and I have a band and concerts to play. I'm just lucky that my passion became something, you know. So just follow what feels real for you.
Great, great. So talking about you talking about your old albums, always a new album is special for the band. Always a band is means something for you, no? It's meaning because it's your new kid, your new son into the world. So if we try to relate these feelings that you got at the same at the time that you did the conception of this new album, what kind of feelings appear to say these feelings represent the best, or what kind of words represent the best way to understand this new album?
Are you asking me which of my feelings is
Yes,
shown
yes,
on the album?
yeah.
Yes. It's a mixture, I suppose. I have a song I'm really proud of this time, and I'm sure you heard it. It was the first single. It's called Bortgang.
Okay.
And that one is translated to passing away, you know, or demise. It's about dying and what happens in death and afterwards, what you leave behind. Does your matter, you know, does your life matter at all when you die? This is a song where I have a poem where I'm just philosophizing about life and death and the meaning and stuff. And the piece of music is something I'm really proud of too, which is, I think, one of my most beautiful but still sad and somber piece of music. And that one is on there. And I have a song about betrayal, and that one is really personal. I don't going to talk a lot about that, but trust me, it's personal. That song is called The Svik. And then you have a song called Avskum, which is the second to last song, which is a big fist in the face of a certain group of people. But I won't touch upon that either, too personal. And then you have about inner demons and stuff, you know. It's about being human. It's about being me, basically. That's the best way I can say it.
Okay, okay. So talking about the subject of living influence, I'm feeling what happens internally and externally for the musician. So many musicians says that they don't have a direction when writing music and carry away by the feelings that they have in the moment. You told me that it's normally that the musicians carry away by the feelings. Also, you compose everything, the drum, guitars, because you told me in the previous interview that you got in 2021 that you compose with a PC, the riffs, etc., recorded by yourself. So into this aspect, so how do the parts produced in an album connect with the idea of sensation of it? Could we say that the music for you is a concept thinking? Or so concept thinking, I mean, when you have a song, you say three riffs, four riffs, three times, four times these riffs, and or perhaps it's a concept not thinking that you compose all or riff and guiding by yourself, by your feelings, and you got the song. How do you connect this aspect to mathematical aspect with the feeling aspect?
Good question. I have to say that it's most of the time it's spontaneous. I sit down, I press record, and I start riffing. And if the riff is good, then I keep it. No, wait. What I do, I actually riff on the guitar and I record riffs I think sound cool on my phone. And then I leave the phone and then I listen back to it a few days later and, oh, that's a cool riff. Then I sit down to record it for real. And then I just make up the rest of the song as it goes. And maybe I find a riff or a part or something that, oh, this could work several times, you know, then I know that it will probably come back at some point. But I don't have a calculated thing. It's not like a map. It's all feel, and I never know how long the song will be. That's a problem actually, because if you're going to pick a single and every song is 6 or 7 minutes, that's a bit tricky, you know. But hey, that is how it is. So it goes by flow, man. It does.
No, okay, okay. Oh, we are very close to this interview, Thomas, and for this aspect, what are the future plans now that you have? And you told me that you will have festivals incoming. Perhaps you will play here in Latin America, well, South America, not Latin America, in South America next couple of months, perhaps end of the year. And perhaps you have more beat-ups upcoming. Perhaps you know the dates exactly which country will visit this time, Mork, because the last time was Brazil, Colombia, and others. Another, perhaps this time will be Peru, because Peru was missing in the last tour here in Latin America.
You know what? It was a big fucking shame. I remember we got to we landed in Sao Paulo, Brazil, and we went to our hotel, and then we got a message that Lima, Peru was cancelled, and that was like fuck. And it was because of some visa situation, you know how it is over there. And that was a really big shame, because we had to fly to Lima anyways. So we flew to Lima and changed flights and went to Bogota. And you know, that shit happens. But the thing about the future is that I can't say too much. It's not certain yet, but I think it will probably be a big tour of Brazil only, actually, that we are talking about here.
Okay.
So if there's any South American fans out there who don't mind to travel to Brazil, then it's a big possibility to see us there, actually. And we are playing. We are working on an Asian tour. That's not for sure yet either, but we are dreaming of going to Asia. We are playing Brutal Assault in Czech Republic. We are playing in Flammen Open Air in Germany. Walpurgis Nacht in Germany, and we are playing the Inferno Festival. Maybe some of your people are going to Inferno this year?
Well, I will travel to Brutal Assault because I read a lot of bands there, so I will see you there.
Oh yes, then we should have a beer, sir.
Yeah. That's a correct way.
Obligatory.
Obligatory. That's
so. And another thing is that I actually have a side project coming up, which is really
nice to hear. So in the same vein, perhaps black metal or perhaps more folk, because usually the Norwegian black metal artists are leaned down to the folk area.
You know what? I'm a big piece of shit. I can't say anything else right now, but there is something coming.
Great. So, as one of the last questions, as you may know, perhaps you saw the news, you saw the social media. Satanic War Master came to Latin America in February to promote the new album. I spoke with Lori or Werewolf, and he told me that they love to play in Latin Americans. But a curious thing about the presentation here in Latin America have problems here because Mexican government canceled the event there in Mexico City. So because alleging that the band was a neo-Nazi and promote hatred. But I know Laurie, and he doesn't have a point of view of his lyrics. And I read all his lyrics, his first album to now. He just told me, I love Satanism. That's the only way that he understands the lyrics. If you find something there, yeah, it's your fucking problem, not mine. That's the way he told me. So how do you see this issue of the provisions in the war into the artists around the world? And why, as I think, and why critics or fans and people outside of the metal war thinks always the black metal are related with the neo-Nazi stuff, with the hatred, with this kind of stuff. So what's your opinion about this aspect in general?
the thing is, there is actually Nazi bands out there, and you know this. They are NS black metal bands, and there's a scene. So I'm not surprised about this. You know, if it's an if for example Mork comes somewhere and I have a member that has been in a NS band at some point in his life, then that will be a problem for Mork. You know, that's how short it is from problems to nothing. So and to be honest, I never understood why black metal should be mixed with politics, you know, because black metal is not about politics to me.
Yeah.
It's about feelings, you know.
Yeah.
So I have no politics in my music. So if any of those people come knocking at my door, then they have nothing here to find, you know. And I don't know. Keep black metal for feelings and not for politics, I say.
Yes, me too. But when I hear for the first time the 1994, 1995, the first bands of the black metal, they never spoke about Satanism, and they never spoke about the culture, their thoughts, their ideology, and other kind of things. The Satanism aspects appears at the ends of the 90s. It's different, but I don't know why a lot of people are very related to the political stuff. So I don't know why.
Yeah, you know, one thing is that the early bands, I don't want to mention many names or something, but it was actually a bit of Nazi socialist stuff going on because of the pagan and Viking culture and heritage is a bit connected to, you know, what the Germans were doing in the 30s and 20s. And some of those early guys did actually poke that a little bit. And I think some of them are sorry today that they did, but I know one person who is still 100% like that, you know. So it's been mixed before. It's been, but it's the first time later that the NS scene came around. And I actually heard, I was, for a period now, a couple of months ago, I just wanted to do research on what NS black metal was all about, because I have never really checked it out. And I heard an interview with one of the first NS guys, which played in what's the band, the German first band? Is it Absurd? Is that the band?
I think
Yeah.
Nargarot was related with them too, with the NS.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I think it was Absurd, who was the first NS band, and he basically said that when black metal and Satanism became publicly accepted, then the Nazi thing would never be commercial. That was a point he made across, and he is correct. You know, the Nazi and stuff and racism will never be commercially accepted. So hey, he had right about that, but I'm not into that stuff at all, you know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Thomas, the sad times arrive at this interview. I hope you enjoyed this one talking to me. It was a pleasure to talk with you for the second time. Well, I'm sorry for the last time in Colombia. We didn't met face to face, but now we spoke. Well, brutal as always will be the opportunity to drink some beers. So perhaps you want to add something to your Latin American fans and Metalero followers.
I would just like to say obrigado and gracias. Thank you so much. You've been good to us this far. You were good to us when we went over there, and hopefully I will see you again when we come over. And next time around, I want to visit all the countries if possible. And hey, keep the spirit alive, guys. Thank you so much. Cheers. Skål.